Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people. Welcome back to the We Talk Football podcast. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Now, this week, something a little bit different for you. So we're about halfway through the Premier League season, and me and Quaker thought it'd be a good chance or a good opportunity to really revisit our first ever episode where we put together our top 6 predictions, our relegation favourites, our potential player of the season, and then who we thought was going to get the golden boot. But in the meantime, how are you doing, Quakes? How's life?
Yeah, life's good, man. It's good to get back in the swing of things. 2020, new year, new me, all that. So yeah, man, really looking forward to it. Last episode was really, really good with David Webb, and looking forward to looking back on some of the wild predictions that we both made.
Yeah, let's get into it, man.
All right, Jay, should we look back at some of these wild predictions? So obviously at the beginning of the season, we made predictions for the top 6. We made predictions for relegation candidates. We predicted player of the season, and we also predicted golden boot. Some of these are absolutely hilarious. I think we should start with top 6 because that's where we've been most off, shall I say?
Let's rattle off. Let's rattle off 5 and 6 for both of us, just so we.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You go. Okay, so at the beginning of the season, Jamie predicted Spurs to finish 6th. And Arsenal to finish 5th. What were you saying about those ones? To be fair, I did the same thing. I've just had another reverse order. I had Arsenal 6th and Spurs 5th. I think with Arsenal, none of us could foresee the capitulation that they had in the middle of the season.
No, but they are starting to put together some results, aren't they? I think no one really anticipated how good Spurs would be, and no one anticipated how bad Arsenal would be. And I think for me, obviously, I've put Arsenal 5th. I still do think Arsenal could put a run together because they've got the players in their squad to be able to do it. But on current form, they're woeful. Like, they don't look very good. I think the key to them doing well this season is one to either re-strengthen in January, maybe if they do get Ozil off their books, maybe putting that money elsewhere, or blooding the youngsters, because Smith Rowe looks really good, Saka looks really good, the Martinelli looks really good. I think that the positives in their side are the young players they're bringing through. But once they get Ozil off the wages, maybe they'll be able to repurpose it elsewhere and look to strengthen in areas they need to. But still,
I definitely think that with Arsenal, it's a case of they put a lot of eggs in the Aubameyang basket, gave him the new bumper contract at the beginning of the season, which we talked about in the first episode. Go and check that. And he's not really come good. He's been very, very disappointing. Hasn't got the goals that they've needed. And when they're going through the patch of struggling, he was really, really struggling as well. And I think that's part of the reason why they're languishing in 11th in the league right now.
Yeah, I don't like the whole. Aubameyang hasn't been good enough playing, but when you watch Arsenal play, it's not as if Aubameyang's been spoiled with an abundance of chances. He hasn't really been getting many opportunities to score goals either. It's been a difficult season for Arsenal. They just haven't been playing well all over the pitch, and I don't think it's just purely Aubameyang's fault. A lot of people, like we've said it, like joking around. He said as soon as he signed the contract, he's kind of just put his feet up, but. I think it's Arsenal in general. I think the club have got their feet up, and I think Arteta's dealing with a club that's just like,
Well, just look at Willian, man. Just look at Willian. Like, they brought him in, gave him a 2-year contract, and he just doesn't look up to it at all. I kind of saw that coming a little bit at the end of his time at Chelsea. He's lost 3 yards of pace. In terms of his delivery into the box, he doesn't really have to be the first man. And Arsenal fans are now seeing that firsthand. He's just not been up to it. And for a player that starts a hell of a lot of games with them, he doesn't deliver anything in terms of goals or assists. It's problematic.
For sure. And I do feel for Arsenal fans, because I don't necessarily have a problem with Arsenal. I just have a problem with their board. I think when you're the only that Premier League side to furlough your staff and all sorts of things like that, and when they let off Gunnosaurus last year and all those things, bro, I'm happy to see their downfall this season, It's sad for the fans, but you know what I mean? When you're the only club to do that, I just think it's tasteless, very, very tasteless.
I'm with you, man. And everyone loves to point to Arsenal or AFTV and kind of ridicule and laugh at the fans. But I feel sorry for Arsenal fans, man. When your club, like you say, don't spend money or furloughing or getting rid of your mascot who's been there for years, it doesn't bode well for the club. It's they're a bit of a mess. But it looks like Arteta's turned it around a little bit, so we'll see how Arsenal fare in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I suppose we should really go on to Spurs, shouldn't we? So obviously I put Spurs 6th. I remember when Bale was coming in, I was, bigging up the Bale transfer to be like, that could take them to the next level. And I think the fact is, Son and Kane have been so good that Bale hasn't been playing outside the cup competitions, really, has he? But I think no one anticipated the levels they'd be performing at, and I think it's testament to Jose because, Spurs, as well as Spurs have had a few suspect results, which every team have had, by the way. I think the one thing that's abundantly different, or seems clear to be different about Spurs, is they seem to have like a different ability to grind out games, or they just seem to look at, anyone that watched the Amazon documentary, Jose says you have to beat bleep to win games, and it feels like Spurs are closer to becoming that now. They seem a bit more angrier. They seem a bit, they seem like they've got a bit more grit to their game. So,
definitely.
I can definitely see them finishing in the top 4. Obviously, I put them at 6, but they'll definitely finish above that now.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like off the back of that point, where they've got a bit more nasty, they've got a bit more grit about them, a bit more guile as well. That's a lot of that's attributed to Højbjerg in the middle. Like he's been amazing. His partnership with Ndombele as well. At the beginning of the season, we weren't too sure where Ndombele was going to fit into Jose's system. They had a bit of a falling out last season, but he's looking like one of the best centre mids in the Premier League this year. Højbjerg's looking like that solid foundation, and they look like they've got a good dynamic in there. Obviously the Bale thing's been underwhelming. I think partly because of the Kane and Son development, but also I think it's partly down to Gareth Bale. I don't think he's the same Gareth Bale that we saw in Real Madrid. I think there was a reason why Zidane wanted to let him go. He looks a bit heavy to me, and he just doesn't look up to it. And I don't think Spurs will be renewing his contract or making that deal a permanent one.
I can see it all being dependent on the kind of wages he's going to demand. Because having someone like Gareth Bale in the, even though he hasn't, excelled on the pitch, you can imagine having someone like that in the changing room for Jose Mourinho is going to be, he's a serial winner, so.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. In terms of Jose teams, doesn't really have passengers, and all that Bale's a serial winner. I don't think he's the Gareth Bale that we've seen.
To call him a passenger, though, I think it's a bit harsh because he has scored a few good goals for them this season. He's scored when it's mattered. He scored in the league, got him a win, stuff like that. As much as I don't think he's on the level that he once was, I don't think he's completely useless. I wouldn't say he's a passenger in the side. I just think he's being kept out the side by two players that are performing, at a level which, if they keep at it, will be the best ever in the Premier League. So, it's one of those situations.
Yeah. I'm yet to be impressed by Bale. Maybe he'll come this second half of the season, but I don't think he's good enough to warrant a place in the top 4 Premier League team. But we both had Arsenal and Spurs 5th and 6th, but in different orders. In 4th place, we both agreed on something for once, and that was Manchester United. Yeah. What's your thoughts on United this season?
Man United are... They're weird, aren't they? They're weird because they have this ability of quietly going about doing their business and grinding out results. Even from West Ham taking, for example, they snuck a win there. They snuck a win out of nowhere, and
mate, they stole a win there. The ball went out of play. West Ham were better than them for the majority of the game. They stole a win.
Yeah, there's been multiple occasions like that where they went, when they went away to Brighton and then they got a penalty after the 90th minute, and there's a few occasions where Man United it's hard to admit, but they look like they're getting back to what they once were. In terms of going forward, we all know the players they've got on show, but and I think that we really have to hold our heads in a bit of shame. The one clippable bit of content in the first episode is that we were calling Ollie a cuck, right? And I stand by these comments, but he's bringing results on the pitch. Their players are looking good, and do you know what? Defensively, they're starting to look better as well. It's not the worst time. I think it's the best time since Fergie left to be a Man United fan, really.
Well, by the time this goes out, they could be top of the Premier League.
Yeah,
so
yeah. The thing is that I would still say they don't have enough, right? But in saying that, we're in January now, who's to say if they're all strengthened or not? And secondly, it's just you know, they have this ability to grind out wins and grind out, you know, just results. So, and let's not forget, like, going forward, obviously Bruno Fernandes is like one of the greatest like signings of all time on current form, you know, like in the Premier League. Like the way he's had like a rejuvenating effect on Man United is incredible. And even Pogba's playing well now. You know, Pogba's putting out results. You know, Martial, like, although he can't hit a barn door with a bazooka, he's still starting to play well. He's scoring the odd goal. Greenwood and Rashford. Rashford's just a donny on and off the pitch. Like, I'll never say enough good words about Marcus Rashford.
Big up Marcus Rashford, man. Big up Marcus Rashford. No, but I'm in total agreement with you in terms of United. Even the Cavani signing that everybody thought was like a last ditch, like desperate signing. He's turned out to contribute. He's contributed a couple of serious goals, man. A game against Southampton where he scored the winner for them. He's looking like a serious plaer. And United are just looking.
He scored 2 away to Everton as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
He's looking good, man. United are looking. They're performing above expectations for both of us. Like we say, we both put them in 4th place. And yeah, Ollie's doing a good job. I'm just not too sure how sustainable this is going to be, because, like you touched on, they've snuck a few wins in there, like the Brighton game, like the West Ham game. I think they scored the last minute winner against Wolves as well. So there's been a couple of games in there where they've snuck it, which again could be testament to a title winning side. But I think a lot of that could be attributed to a little bit of luck. They've had, obviously, everyone knows about the penalty thing, that's well documented. And we'll see. Again, I think this season, the season that I don't think we should really be too hard on ourselves on our predictions at the beginning of the season, because it's been absolutely insane. I think we both did touch on the fact that the points tally was going to be lower than it had been in the previous 2 or 3 years. But none of us expected this to happen this season, where Liverpool have lost 7-2. Like, City got a hiding by the hands of Leicester.
Yeah.
United got slapped up by Spurs. It's been a weird season, but yeah, United are definitely performing above expectations.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to third, Quakes. Who did you put down?
So in 3rd place, I put Liverpool.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about my first 2 after it, but the 3rd place Liverpool, again, that could happen. We're not too sure in terms of where things are going to finish this season. But I just thought there'll be 2 stronger teams in Liverpool this season. On the balance of the overall season as a whole, I feel like Liverpool have probably just been the strongest team, but they've had a couple of results that have been off it, and recently they've been off form. So we'll see how Liverpool end up. Yeah, I had them in 3rd. What about you?
I had them in 3rd as well.
Yeah.
I had them in 3rd. Again, as much as me and you fly the flag of the anti-Liverpool brigade, they've been incredible this year, really. Like, they've had a few suspect results, but if they go on to win the Premier League now, it's got to be up there with the greatest Premier League winning title seasons of all time. The injuries they've sustained and the form they've been able to maintain across multiple competitions, like, you've really got to hold your hat off. Hold your hat. Like, God, I can't get the words out. But you've really got to give props to Klopp for, you know, getting his teams across it, and, you know, Salah's just killing it this season. He's absolutely killing it. And there's words that there's unrest in the changing room and stuff like that. So for them, Liverpool just look a different step above it. I think the only team that can really challenge them this year is, in my opinion, is City. I think City will come good, and I think they're starting to come good, but Liverpool you got to tip your hat to them. You got to tip your hat at how good they've been. What other side in the world could take an injury to their best defender, then get your left back injured, then get your captain injured, then get your goalkeeper injured, and then still manage to pull out results? You know, like, people always say, "Oh yeah, we've had these choice results." Like, they lost that Aston Villa game, and Van Dijk was playing for them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think the one that I was really impressed with is when Keller has come in for Alisson, and Keller has just been, you know, quietly doing his business and stuff like that. So fair play to Liverpool. Klopp's been a bit off it in his interviews. Me and you have both said this. I don't like this underdog mentality that he's trying to push, and how the whole world is against him kind of thing. It's like, you know, the entire league and the entire world is in a COVID environment now. I think every team there is dealing with, you know, the repercussions of that. So I don't like the way he's been in interviews, but other than that, quality.
I'm in agreement with your overall point on Liverpool in terms of, if they go on to win the Premier League this season, they'll probably be the greatest title defence of all time. just because of the circumstance and what's happened. But I just think recently the results have been a little bit off it. They've not been the Liverpool that we've known. Like the result against Southampton, obviously everyone remembers Hassan Hüttel's emotional reaction to winning that game.
Yeah.
They've had like the draw against West Brom. They've had a couple of results which have been off it.
They haven't won in three, have they? They haven't won in three.
Yeah. Well, at the time of recording, and it's just I don't know. They've looked good in patches, but I feel like it's like the rest of the Premier League where teams are really experiencing the roller coaster of this new COVID world where you might have players out because of reasons other than injuries, and that affects you. And obviously the Van Dijk injury has been a massive setback for them, and they've managed to mitigate that quite well in terms of players that they've brought in. And Fabinho is now looking like one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, for someone who's naturally a centre defensive midfielder. But I do think they are there to be got at, and I think the City are coming. And United are up there. We've got to give them credit, but yeah, like you say, Liverpool have definitely impressed in terms of the circumstances that they've had to deal with.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now let's move on to 2 and 1. This is another top two. Again, me and you we were very similar again, but we flipped them around. So for me, I had second for Chelsea and first for City, and yourself, you had Chelsea first, City second. So I think I'll start on this one. So I think City, again, they've been an odd team this year. I feel like they've had a few good results, but then, as you alluded to earlier, they got turned over by Leicester. But I think that's just testament to the season that we're going through. I think anyone can get turned over because the league's so close. What I would say is I still think City have got enough in the tank to mount a title charge, and I still think City will win the league. But the problem is the margins at the moment. I think West Ham are 10th and we're 3 points off top 4. Do you know what I mean? So the margins at the moment are so small that whatever we say now could come back drastically wrong. But I do still think that City will win the league. And Chelsea again. I still think Chelsea have enough in the tank to really, pick up their form because they have been underwhelming. They have been underwhelming across the league, and I think, you especially look at recent form. We've spoken about this in previous IGTVs, but I think with Chelsea, the only game you really won in the league recently that looked, that was against West Ham, and even in that game you got dominated for large periods of the game, and then you got a couple of goals quickly, and it kind of killed off the game. And then you scored a third when we were trying to get back into it. So it was a 3-0 scoreline that ended up being quite flattering. But other than that, Chelsea has been very, very underwhelming. And I think the key thing for Chelsea is, I think we've spoken about this. Frank Lampard, you have said he might lack a little bit of tactical nous. But I think for me, it's the players he's putting on the pitch. I think, and I know that sounds incredibly stupid, of course it is, but I think it's abundantly clear for me. I'm not the biggest. I'm not really a Chelsea fan. I don't watch much Chelsea football, but it's abundantly clear to me that when you have someone like Timo Werner and you buy him as a striker and you put him on the left wing, and he hasn't performed. He's never. I don't think he's really ever had these kind of dry periods as extensive as this. And now he's got a magnifying glass over him because he's got a big fee and he's in the Premier League where everyone watches it, but he's playing in a position where he's not natural, and I think it's difficult. I think for me, I would like to see Timo Werner given a go up front, and then you can, maybe play Hudson-Odoi on the left and then Ziyech on the right or something, and then, maybe you can interchange between them two. Because as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Tammy Abraham's doing okay. He's got 6 goals this season, so I think he needs to. Because he's got his favourites clearly. He clearly loves Mount, clearly loves Tammy Abraham. I think he could do with maybe shifting those allegiances a little bit and, fielding the side outside those, that starting 11. Because look at Giroud. Whenever Giroud plays, he scores goals, So, yeah.
You see, that's a difficult one because, like I say, we've named 3 strikers there, but it's a case of if we play Werner down the middle and Giroud doesn't play, and like you say, Frank's clearly got an allegiance to the kids because he's the one who's brought them through. I think you're being kind to Chelsea when you say they've been underwhelming. They've been shit, mate. Recently, they've been absolutely pony.
Oh, that's getting clipped. That is getting clipped, people.
But yeah, no, they've been rubbish. Like you said, the West Ham game was not a 3-0 game. We were poor for the majority of that game. We just come off the back of a 4-0 win against Morecambe, where the goal scorer has been perfect for us in terms of Timo Werner has scored and Kai Havertz has scored, two players that need goals, as well as Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi. So that result was great, but we have to remember that was against Morecambe. So Chelsea, over the last month, probably the most important part of the season, like the Christmas part of the season, we've been rubbish.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've mentioned it previously in IGTVs. I will never be a Lampard out man. He's our greatest ever player, and I'm going to give him as much time as possible to get things right. But I feel like with him, he's almost the antithesis of Mikel Arteta, where Arteta is very, very tied to his philosophy and his what he's got a lot of tactical now. So you can see that he's worked under Guardiola for a number of years. But I feel like Lampard's got more of like an overview on it. He's more of a man manager. And so when you hear him in interviews talk about how Chelsea need to make tactical shifts and stuff, it doesn't sound granular enough for me. I want to see a little bit more from him, and you get that with time. So we have to give Lampard time. He's in his third year of management. First season he was at Derby in the Championship, and then the second season of management he led Chelsea to the top 4 in the FA Cup final place. But yeah, Chelsea have been piss poor, man. And obviously at the beginning of the season I called them to finish top of the league. That's not happening. We've got to concentrate and refocus our attention on finishing the top 4 and ending the season more positively than we started it. So yeah, I had Chelsea at top, and I had City second.
Yeah.
I think City are going to win the league. I feel like they're on a bit of a roll now. John Stones has formed a formidable partnership at the back with Ruben Diaz.
Oh yeah,
they look amazing. And things are ticking. Raheem Sterling's not looked too on it this season, but KDB's there pulling the strings against Chelsea. He played in the false 9 position, and he looked amazing.
Killed it.
Phil Foden looks amazing. Things are ticking for City right now. Gundogan's picked up form. Cancelo's slotted in. Benjamin Mendy's throwing parties with big booty Latinas. Things are wild at City, and I feel like they are on a roll and they're going to be hard to stop. So I think I would, if I had the chance to go back, I'd put City at the top, and I think they're going to win it.
Sure. Again, I completely agree. I said it prior. I think City will still win the league. I think what we should do now is we should put somewhere on the screen where we think our top 6 are going to be. So maybe in the middle of us. So I'll do mine. So now I'm going to go 6th, Chelsea. Who are you going to go 6th?
Well, who do I think is going to finish 6th?
Yeah.
Who do I think is going to finish 6th? Leicester.
Leicester. Okay. 5th, I'm going to go Everton.
Okay.
What
5th, I am going to go Spurs.
4th, I'm going Spurs.
4th, I'm going to go Chelsea.
3rd, I'm going to go with United. Going United.
Yep, same. 3rd, I'm going United.
2nd, I'm going Liverpool.
Yeah, same. 2nd, I'm going Liverpool.
And City going main.
City top. So if that holds true, then you predicted it correctly in terms of beginning of the season. You did predict City to finish top. I predicted Chelsea, who I'm now predicting they're going to finish 4th, and I think that's more in hope than expectation. So we'll see how this pans out.
Now, I suppose that's a good little segue for us to move on to our relegation candidates. So, in no particular order, who did you have, Quakes, to go down?
So I had Fulham, West Brom, and Brighton going down.
Okay.
They're 3 teams that are struggling this season. I'm not really going to change my prediction. Obviously, everybody knows that Sheffield United are going to go down unless something drastically changes in the second half of the season. So yeah, one of those 3 teams that I picked are going to survive. But I do feel like 2 of those 3 teams are going to go down. I hope the Fulham stay up, so it might be a Brighton West Brom occupying the 19th and 18th places in the table. What about yourself?
So if anyone's actually watched the first episode, it remains our most popular episode ever, where people have watched it or downloaded it. I put West Ham in the bottom 3 and spoke about 10-15 minutes about how I hated the board and how off it they were. And
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you. No. We're not going to brush over it, Jay. We're not going to brush over it.
No, I was about to address it.
Okay, go and address it. Sorry.
I was about to address it. So again, like in my bottom three, I put Fulham, West Brom, and West Ham. I think with Fulham and West Brom, I think you can see both of them going down, and then West Ham, you could probably change them out for Sheffield United because everyone knows they're going down. But West Ham United, the majority of my comments when I made about West Ham United is because I didn't think we were strong enough, right? And I don't think we're strong enough, and I think it boils down to the fact that even when I said then, I didn't think we were proactive enough in the transfer market. I thought we were too reactive. We were waiting to sell a player before buying another player, and look at what's just happened. We're now going into the rest of the Premier League currently with one striker that we can't keep fit. We've just let Haller go, regardless of how useless he's been. You know, he did still score a winning goal against Sheffield United. That's 3 points on the board for us. You know, he does still serve a purpose in the team when we've got no one else to play out there. You know, we're not proactive enough in the transfer market. We sell Haller for 20 million, and now everyone else in the world knows we need a striker. You know, so Josh King, who we're being linked with, contract runs out in 6 months' time. You know, he goes from being a £5-6 million player to 13-14 million player, and it just results in us overplaying in a player again. I was off it all my comments and saying we get relegated, but the point is, like, West Ham, the board is still doing the same old shit, right? And going into this, right, we had like one of the smallest squads in the Premier League this season, right? If you look at the amount of depth that we have, it's minimal, right? And we've just sold 2 more players. We've sold Snodgrass and Haller. So we had a squad of 21. Anyone that knows the Premier League, you can have a squad of 25, right? So we had a squad of 21 with 3 goalkeepers, right? And we just sold 2 more players. So now our squad is incredibly small. What happens if Antonio goes and gets injured? We're going into this game this weekend, right? First 5 minutes, if Antonio pulls up his hamstring, what do? We've got to play a youngster, which is amazing. I think that's great. You know, we had a young guy come on last night. I can't think of his name. It's Olabeku, I think. Olabeku got him from Man United a couple of years ago, but he's a young player. He made his debut last night. So are we going to expect to be playing it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just... I was off it with my comments. And I didn't anticipate how good Declan Rice or Souček have been. All right, or Souček. Sefal's come in and been very, very good. But
all right, bro. Okay. I've let you explain that. I agree with everything you're saying about the board being more reactive than proactive. The whole Haller thing. I don't think you could have turned down 20 mil for Haller, even if you haven't got anyone lined up. You snap somebody's hands off for that. But, like, at the beginning of the season, when your esteemed co-host, somebody you need a bit of banter, a bit of back and forth with when we're doing these podcast episodes, predicts for their team to get relegated, that leaves me in the position of, like, I can't do anything about that. Because at the end of the season, if West Ham get relegated, it's like, oh yeah, well, I called it. And if West Ham don't, you'll be like, oh, well, we exceeded expectations. I just think it's the worst calls you've ever made. Oh, my team's going to get relegated. Like, what? I'm not having it. And now, like, when West Ham are winning this stuff, you're revving it, be like, yeah, we're sick. We've got the best centre midfielder outside the top 6. We've got the best centre back outside the top 6. This is the team you predicted to get relegated. Yeah. This is the team you predicted to get relegated.
We're overperforming. We are massively overperforming. And like I say, like, we're one injury away from being in banging trouble, regardless of wherever that is on the pitch. Apart from goalkeeper, really. We've got 3 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand that, but there's just... Did you seriously believe at the beginning of the season that West Ham were going to go down?
Yeah, generally, I was very, very, very worried. And, like, you know me as a West Ham fan, like, anyone that knows the dynamic of this podcast is the only difference that is happening really now is that there's a camera in front of us recording. Me and Quaker have been having these conversations for years, you know, for 20-odd years. We've been friends since we were 8 years old, right? Every year I go into a season feeling hopelessly optimistic when I watch West Ham. I always think, oh, we're going to have a good season. We sign some sort of player and I think, oh, he's going to come in and play well. This season, generally, was the first time of all time that I was worried, genuinely worried. And I still am worried, right? We've overachieved, you know, and we've worked out how to play, be very, very difficult to be, you know, to break down. That's what it is. You know, David Moyes is implemented a system and we look good in that system. But that doesn't change the fact that we are very, 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 like, you know, light on the ground when it comes to, you know, players. And, you know, who's to say that what happens if Antonio gets injured again? You know, what happens now? You know,
I will back that as well. I will back that because normally we won't go into seasons. You are normally like West Ham going to do this, West Ham going to do that, and like this is the first season that you've kind of been pessimistic going to the season. But I attribute that to you getting shook when the lights are shining the brightest. When we started the podcast, We Talk Football podcast was about to blow. You're just like, okay, I can't say anything on camera that's going to come back on me. So let me just predict my team's going to get relegated. And that's what I think it is. I'm not letting you off the hook for that one, man.
You're a joke, bro. You're a joke.
I'm not letting you off the hook for that one.
You also said the only positive that we had in the squad is that Jared Bowen's a baller. And what did you say, Quakes? What did you say?
What?
Turned around and said, no, I'm not having it. Not Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen's been our best player and he's torn defences apart this year.
I don't remember saying anything about Jared.
Go back and listen, people. Go back and listen. You know what I mean? Go back. He also said the same thing about Calvert-Lewin. Where's Calvert-Lewin now?
Oh,
exactly.
Okay, perfect. That is a perfect segue. I was thinking about this, and I like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's probably a nice bloke, and I think he's a good player. He's really, really good in the air.
Nice bloke.
But well, he seems like a nice guy. But I'm not having this like he's this, he's that. He's a handful, yeah, but he's not a top Premier League striker, and I'm still not having it. Obviously, he's injured at the moment, but I'm still of the mindset and of the thought that Tammy Abraham is a better striker than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I know that Calvert-Lewin's on 11 Premier League goals this season, and Tammy's on 6. I'll have a bet with you right now that Tammy Abraham will end up on more Premier League goals than Calvert-Lewin this season.
I'll take that bet, yeah. We all know my opinion on Tammy Abraham, but Tammy Abraham is by far the 4th worst striker in England, behind Danny Ings, behind Calvert-Lewin, and behind Harry Kane. He's 4th, and very clearly 4th. I think Calvert-Lewin's injured now, so I'll take your bet, right? He's like 5 goals ahead of him now. I think Calvert-Lewin's got 11. Tammy Abraham's on 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, depending on when Calvert-Lewin comes back, he's got a 5-goal head start already. I'm very confident that Calvert-Lewin will do it. And, Chelsea don't score goals at the moment, so...
Is there a forfeit for the bet? I'm taking the bet.
You don't do forfeit. Okay, here's a glimpse behind the curtain, people. I've wanted to do forfeits all year, but this guy's like, no, I'm not doing forfeits on camera. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's talking about bets, but he won't do a forfeit. Do you know what I mean?
All right, okay, so I will for this one. Oh, I don't know if I will do.
You're so wet. You're so wet.
Okay, I will do a forfeit. What's the forfeit going to be? I'll do a forfeit. Do a forfeit.
You've clearly got a forfeit in your mind because you don't want to do it, Craig. So tell the people, enlighten everyone.
Okay.
Look at him flapping as well, people.
Well, okay. What we'll do. This is not great content for the podcast. What we'll do is we'll think about it. We'll maybe put a poll out on our Instagram story what the forfeit should be.
And let me tell you what that means, guys. Let me tell you what that means. It means I'll come to him with about 30 ideas after the podcast. He's like, no, I'm not doing that on camera, man. I'm not doing that on camera. I'm not doing that exactly. So get in his DMs and say how much of a wetty he is.
No, Jay. We'll put the poll out. We'll come up with a couple of options and we'll say like. We'll let the viewers or the fans decide what the forfeit will be.
I'm going to put it out there what I wanted to do as a forfeit and why you turned it down. Okay, so what I wanted to do, people, initially for the fantasy, the person who finished lower out of both of us, Quaker knew it would be him, so he didn't want to do it, right? When you go down to like a high street or anything like that, obviously it's not the best time right now, but hopefully in 4 or 5 months' time when the season does finish, right, it might be good. What I was going to do is I was going to get either of us, the person who finishes lowest in the fantasy league table, I was going to paint us all gold or paint us all silver. When you go down a high street and you see those, those people standing on platforms and they're standing still. I was going to get Kwaku painted all in silver or all in gold, a colour of his choice, right? Bronze if he wants, I don't mind. And then he was going to hold a sign saying like, bottom of the fantasy league or something like that. I thought that was top draw. That's top draw. But Quaku's like, no, I'm not doing it on camera.
Jay. We'll put that as one of the options for the poll. We'll put it up there, and whatever people vote for, that would be the forfeit for whoever loses this bet. But to be fair, I'm giving you a head start. Calvert-Lewin has got a 5-goal head start, and that's how confident I am that Cameron will score more Premier League goals.
People, I need you to back this so much. I'm speaking directly into the mic now, so I need you to hear me. Look in my eyes and hear my voice. I need this to happen. Anyways,
that's probably a good segue. We're talking about 2 fledgling Premier League strikers, so talking about who we thought would finish top of the goal scoring charts, and this is the prediction that we were both off it for.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first? Do you want to go first on this one?
I bought into the hype. That was Chelsea, and the hype that is Timo Werner. He's a poor man's Jared Bowen, mate. Poor man's Jared Bowen.
All
I'm joking. No, I said, what, you get like 28 goals, I think, something like that for Werner. How many is he on now, Quakes?
He's on 4 Premier League goals. He's got 4 assists. So he's got 8 goal contributions. So
I think. Do you know what? I think that's what Derek Bones on. I'm pretty sure he's on 4 and 4.
That's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. What? Who did you put, mate?
So I put Aubameyang. This was pre-contract signing. So obviously we've seen him go off the ball after he signed his contract. Yeah, I put Aubameyang. I think I said he's going to score 24 goals. He scored like 2 or 3 Premier League goals this season. So he's not lived up to the billing, but we've still got half a Premier League season to go. And I don't think Aubameyang's going to finish the Premier League season on less than double figures. So maybe not top goal scorer, but I reckon he'll come good for us with the back end of the season.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Let's do who we've got for the Golden Boot now. Who do you think's going to
win? So Mo Salah's currently sitting top of the chart. Bruno Fernandes is up there as well. So obviously Harry Kane, Son. I'm going to go Mo Salah. He takes penalties. He scores goals. I think he's going to be at the top of the goal scoring charts.
I think Mo Salah as well. Again, Mo Salah just looks a level above it as long as he can stay fit, obviously, which history suggests he would. But Liverpool look good, and I can see him doing well. Player of the season, I had Kevin De Bruyne this year. I think it'll be hard for Bruno Fernandes to not get player of the season this year, or Harry Kane. But depending on the second half of the season, again, we both still think City are going to win the league, so I'm going to have to stick with KDB, really. I think KDB will still win it. And let's just see what happens with Spurs and United. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think KDB is a decent shout still. He's come good the last couple of weeks, looked really, really good, especially against Chelsea. So I think that's a good call. I put Raheem Sterling at the beginning of the season. Probably been his most difficult season in the last 4. Like he's been prolific over the last few seasons, and he's kind of struggled a little bit this season. He's still City's top goal scorer in all competitions, but I think that's as a result of Aguero not being fit. I picked Sterling for the player of the season. I'm going to have to stick with it just because, like you said, we both picked City to win the league, and if they are going to win the league, Raheem Sterling's going to have to score a lot of goals for him. So I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, and still say Raheem Sterling will win PFA Player of the Year based on the back end of the season.
Okay, yeah, I mean, fair play for backing your boy. That pretty much wraps up all the predictions that we had. So yeah, we were off it on a few, but I think some of them were okay. I was definitely off it with West Ham because we're top Donnies now. We're top Donnies. But other than that, I suppose me and Quaker better reluctantly talk a little bit about fantasy.
Do we have to, brother? Do we have to?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it. Right, people. So yeah, Fantasy League. It's been one of those things that me and Quaker again have neglected for ages, especially over Christmas. I've had 2 transfers stalled in my club for like 3 weeks now. I forgot to do my thing every week. Quaker consistently forgets, and the only reason we ever get reminded is because of a group chat we have where one of them says, "Got to do your fantasy, boys." So yeah.
Jay, though, but this is it. The problem with fantasy this year is where there's been so many cancellations because of COVID. I don't know what game week we're on, what match week we're on. That's the reason why I'm just kind of lagging behind. But second half of the season, you're gonna see a comeback from the boy. I'm currently languishing. I haven't checked it for a couple of weeks. I'm languishing in 24th place, 24 out of 26 in the
very clearly 24th as well. Like you're nowhere near 23rd. What you're 50 points behind Simon. So yeah.
Simon, who will be on the podcast next week, by the way.
Yeah, he's coming back on. Gonna start a new feature called What Simon Says, right?
Simon Says, yeah, it's a little feature for you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, fantasy is looking peak. Where are you in the league right now? You are 13th.
I'm 13th, yeah. And bear in mind, I had such a poor start to the season. I've had a good solid week again. 86. The point in the table where I'm at is so congested. Like from 13th all the way up really to, 9th? There's 20 points in it. I remember a few weeks ago I stormed above everyone and then I went right back down. Again I've been quite fortunate.
Do you want to shout out at the top of the league?
Yeah, some of my old friends. So these all the guys. It's kind of mad. So when I was at university, I worked as a waiter in a restaurant, and the guys that are top of the league right now were the chefs in the restaurant, and we'd always have these back and forths always have these back and forth about football. And I was just like, nah, you guys are just off it consistently, right? We had a little fantasy league then, and they were always bossing it. Again, I was always like mid-table there, but these guys are serious fantasy players. You can see it. They're very clearly like both of them are very top of the league. So shout out to Hanan and shout out to Derry. I hope that both of you are well. They messaged me last week because they want to come on as well. Maybe we can arrange something at the end of the season when the fantasy league ends, and they can give us a little insight into their I don't want to call it genius, but into their luck at picking the right players consistently.
Big up at Edsa Harriet as well, who's third in the league. She was top consistently, but Derry and her now have kind of taken over her. And then the wooden spoon this week goes to Dan O'Sullivan. Chicken Dan on Puree is the name of his team. No wonder he's bottom of the league.
Do you know what? Like, I thought that Harry Dooner's been bottom all season. I felt bad for him because he joined late. But to go below someone who's a week behind in the points, that's a howler. That's a howler.
That's a howler. So Danny, wooden spoon goes to you. Congratulations. Obviously, there's a round of fixtures coming up this week, so we will be back on fantasy, updating you guys every week, making sure that we update our teams every week and being on it. But it's Jay, it's good to be back, man. We're back in the rhythm of doing episodes every week.
We're back. It's mad because, you know, people, we've alluded to this on many IGTVs. Like the rest of you, the country's gone into lockdown again. Me and Keiko had plans. We bought equipment, you know, so we could actually start doing long form interviews with people or get back to our usual, you know, like formula where we're going back and forth. But it looks like Zoom calls are going to be the normality for a little while longer. So hopefully you guys still listen, and hopefully you're all doing well out there in these mad times.
I will just say as well, you might have seen it on our socials. We've recently partnered up with LDN RBS. They're a creative platform that are pushing emerging talent in the UK. You'll see it on their socials and our socials. We've recently partnered up. It's going to hopefully bring us more exposure, and also we're the first football content creators that they've partnered up with. So proud of that. So make sure you check out.
That's a blag, bro. That's a blag. Huh? Talent. They're covering talent. That's a blag.
Oh, come on.
How have we gone at that?
But yeah, make sure you check out their YouTube channel for clips of the We Talk Football podcast. Obviously, the full episode will still be on our YouTube channel. Just make sure you keep your eyes peeled and ears pinned for more content coming your way in 2021.
Where else can they find us though, Quakes? Because again, I feel like anyone that watches us on YouTube might not know that we're probably more active on Instagram. We do all sorts of features. Like this month, we're doing our best ever and worst ever like January transfers. You know, where can they find us, Quacks?
So on Instagram, it's at We Talk Football Podcast. On Twitter, it's at WTF Podcast 90. I say it every week. We actually have become more active on Twitter. We've started posting on there a little bit more. On Facebook, it's We Talk Football Podcast. On YouTube, it's We Talk Football Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. It really does help us out, guys. And we will be back next week with more content.
We will. See you soon, guys.
Nice one.